Literally, Al Jazeera News were outside my house. When you've got an Al Jazeera van, you know some stuff's gone down.
AU launched in Swansea in 2015 and has become the most recognisable drinks brand in the UK by far, as well as actually one of the fastest growing UK companies.
We quoted to get like, how much does it cost to charter a jet? That's the hard bit when you start a new brand, is no one knows what it is, but you're trying to sell it for the price because you can't afford to sell it as cheap.
Can I ask you about the Jake Paul thing? He got AU Vodka logo tattooed. There's articles online saying like, oh, he did it for 200 grand.
We literally sold 3 million cans in like the first 3 days and sold out. We've done some stuff with some huge people. Did stuff with Snoop Dogg the other day and brought him to the HQ.
What was it you think that sort of drove that explosive growth in the years after that?
The problem you then have is like, how then do you go from doing 10,000 bottles a year to like a couple of million bottles a year?
I've got myself a strawberry milkshake.
There is actually lekker in it, to be fair.
Oh, there is?
We went out to Madrid and played golf together and did a few things, to be fair, so it was kind of like a bit of a full circle moment.
AU Vodka cans is the #1 ready-to-drink alcohol beverage in the UK.
Yeah.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is.
I've got to ask you, man, what's the cost of this fit out? Yeah, do you know what's funny? Like, being here in person, seeing, I've seen all the content and stuff, and I can't get Jim Skin off my feed this last week.
Yeah.
But, like, it's even better in person. Like, what you guys have done here is insane. Like.
Yeah, no, we try to do, like, everything about the brand is simple, and it's like, it's AU means gold, but we try and do as much as we possibly can around that. And it's like, it's quite simple, but it just, we try to own that. So I mean, so every single element of every single thing we'll try and do. Like, you've seen the HQ outside with the gold. Yeah. Like, it's a nuts place, but I do feel like there's not many places that are like so brand.
But you've done
focused.
pure.
Yeah, it's pure.
But you've done it in such a classy way. I'm sure there's a really unclassy way of getting gold on
I describe it as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for alcohol. It's like it's like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Charlie and the Vodka Factory. So you got Sloth, you got 2 Charlies as well. So you got like 2 Charlies in the Vodka Factory.
That's literally how I see it. And when I describe it to people, it's like, yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for vodka. I didn't realise as well that the cafe area and all of the downstairs bit is open to the public.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah.
There's like all sorts of different people having like, because they found this spot and they're like, oh, this is like a little hack.
Yeah.
It's like this really cool cafe.
And I think people want to see, like, and we always feel like really powerful for Swansea, because Swansea is like where we've home, where we come from, where we blew up, and, you know, we go into the story of why that happened and different bits, but Swansea's always been a massive part of us. So like, for people to come here, go through the maze, go through that journey and see that stuff. I don't know if you guys did that.
We've
done through, like, and you've got like, you feel the story, you feel that, like, just it gets you to know the brand, whereas I feel like a lot of brands you kind of know, but you don't really know the story. Do you know what I mean? Or you don't know the thing. So I think that's something.
So you've got the HQ here now. You've been here just over a year?
Just over a year here, but I was always in Swansea before that. Yeah. So we were in like Swansea city centre in a tiny little office.
Yeah.
So we started in like 2016, that type of time. We were in a small little office for sort of 4 years, literally just me, Jackson, and Jordan, who was 15 at the time when he first started. He's our head of ecom now. You guys probably know Jord now, but he was started and it was literally us 3 for like 4 years. And then we moved to Cumdy, which is like a bigger industrial estate, and grew there, and then here. So, but for the first 4 years, what people kind of didn't realise is it was slow. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like, it didn't really go crazy, and then so 2019 it really started gaining momentum, and then 2020 went nuts, really, to be fair. So
do you know what's crazy? Like, when I was downstairs, I think I was having a vape, and 2 women that had been in the cafe, they worked at Sainsbury's. They'd been in maybe on their lunch break or on their break to have some food and drink here, and then they were outside and they were taking pictures of each other in front of the sign. She was like, "Get the Tango logo in," and then I went over to, "Do you want me to get you both in?" And they were like, "Oh, your love, yeah." And I was getting a selfie with them. It's like we're at Disney World. You know what I mean? Like, isn't crazy? Like, what other alcohol brands have got that going on?
No, definitely. I think AU's are one of those brands where it is such a lifestyle brand, and people who love it really love it. And I think that's something which we've obviously worked hard to do, and maybe it's just the way we've done it, but people do love it. And I feel like it's because we're so different to everyone else. Like, if everyone else is going left, we'll always go right. That's kind of our kind of mentality, is anything that like the big guys will do or whatever, we always try and want to do the opposite, because if we do what they do, we'll be the same as them. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of, can we harness social media? Can we do social, can we do the e-commerce side? Like, can we do all of this different stuff, which a lot of the guys don't do, because we believe that that's something that we can be better at than them, I guess. So,
sure. And it really feels like so honest, like the way that you talk about it. Like, it feels like people are going to buy into it so much more because you guys like really believe it, and that really comes across. So yes,
I mean, I'm going to get onto the intros here.
Yeah,
we're actually on, even though we're in your Swansea HQ in your new podcast studio, we are on Marketing Over Milkshakes.
Yeah,
we still have at least one token milkshake.
Yeah. So cheers, Charlie Morgan, co-founder of AU Vodka.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, pal.
Cheers.
I've got this. It's delicious, blue raspberry, 0%, because it's only like 11 o'clock. And Jamie here's got.
I got myself a strawberry milkshake today. There's no liquor in it, I don't think.
True to the brand.
So,
we've got no intro for you. Hopefully this
there is actually liquor in it, to be fair. It's
is.
It's strawberry milkshake AU, so it is like.
Okay.
It is things. So it is.
I thought there was a little bit of a kick, but I was like, no.
He's going to get more and more twisted as the episode goes on. But yeah, I'm going to give you our intro. Hopefully, correct me if anything's wrong. We've written this for you. So AU, launched in Swansea in 2015.
Yeah.
And has become the most recognisable drinks brand in the UK by far, as well as actually one of the fastest growing UK companies, full stop. And I think we've won awards for that.
Yeah.
Gold bottles, big celebrity sort of endorsements, like massive amounts, influencers, loads of flavour launches, like so many flavours I can't keep up.
Yeah.
Social media kings, social first marketing, and you've turned product drops into these cultural events. Tango, for example, has just dropped. Insane. Companies doing around over 80 million, 85 million in sales. You built obviously this major HQ, which is like Charlie and the vodka factory here, and you're selling millions of Tango collab bottles in a day right now. I mean, look, there's public reports valuing the company at hundreds of millions. I think that's going to be billions at some point. It's massive, and you've got major celebrities on board like Snoop Dogg, Floyd Mayweather. I mean, I can't even list them all. The Jake Paul stuff, Jim Skin recently. It's yourself, it's Jackson, and it's Charlie Sloth.
Yeah, so that we're sort of like it was me and Jackson to start with.
Yep.
So we started sort of 2016. 2015, I think we incorporated the company, but sort of 2016 when we first started selling, it probably took us about a year to get some bottles and different bits. And that was kind of a challenge in itself because we started going, right, okay, what can we do differently? Do you know what I mean? And we were like, well, at that point, I think I was 19, Jackson was 21. So he was super, super young, right? So like we had, I started clothing business when I was 17, so it was going quite well, but it was and we got up to like 300-400k of revenue. So like considering I was so young, it was decent, but it was always a business that probably wasn't going to be AU. Do you get what I mean? It was a business that was there, but it was kind of like a bit of a thing which he was doing in college and all that kind of stuff and doing that kind of stuff. But then when we started AU, it was kind of like, what can we do differently? And it was like we didn't really want to invest loads. We didn't really want to take massive risks, but we wanted to start with a couple of thousand bottles, and I think it was like 2,000 bottles we started with in the end, and like pretty much all the money we invested to start went just to buy the stock and kind of had no real marketing fund or no whatever. But it was kind of one of those things where we believed we could sell it. But then what happened then is we negotiated and found someone who could make 2,000 bottles, by the way, which was extremely hard because we wanted a gold bottle, we wanted aluminium labels or pewter labels, so like they were handmade. It was like all the stuff we wanted was really like different to what was on the market.
That was from day one.
From day one. So like the bottle, pretty much the design like has stayed the same. Do you know what I mean? And me and Jackson were designed it like on Photoshop back in the day, like literally just and that's all we done. And we just we did every single element of it and just brought it to life. And it actually hasn't really changed since then. Yeah, you've had the flavours, you had the capsules and the different things, but realistically the product has been very similar. And we wanted to create the smoothest possible original vodka this was at the time. And we went around tasting different parts. And the liquid was hard, but doable. The hardest bit was getting like that gold bottle because no one in the UK could do that, and it was like then finding that, and then it was making sure someone do 2,000 bottles. We managed to find a small little factory in Italy which would make the 2,000 bottles, and we kind of had to like ring him up and ask him if he would do it, and he was kind of like, oh well, minimum is only 20,000, and we were like, oh well, this is the journey, we're going to sell loads, so can you just do 2,000? And he was like, okay, and then we managed to get that, but obviously it was quite expensive to start with being the quantities. So that was kind of where we started, and then we kind of had 2,000 bottles and we were like, let's sell them. But then everyone was like, well, why am I going to buy this product for the same price as a Grey Goose or a Ciroc or a Belvedere? And because we were in that higher price point, and that was kind of where we were sitting, when you guys, no one knows what it is. So why will anyone order it? So like that's the hard bit when you start a new brand, is no one knows what it is, but you're trying to sell it for the price because you can't afford to sell it as cheap because you're not doing the volume and all that kind of stuff. So
how would you planning to sell those 2,000 bottles like when you first got them?
I think at the start we just thought like local bars, but we also thought, could we get into, you know, Selfridges and Harvey Nichols and those type of places because the packaging was a bit different. But what we kind of found was we could sell a couple, but at that point, I don't think the brand was big enough that people would buy it. They would buy it and put it on their mantelpiece, but they wouldn't drink it.
Right.
So then what would happen? Retailers were maybe charging 40 quid, which was a bit more expensive. So it was kind of, it didn't quite like have that rate of sale. And I think until we did our first flavour, that was the point then when people were actually like, I really want to try the liquid as well. And then it kind of made it a bit of a different thing. And the price point maybe became more like 33, 35 pound, not 45, 50 pound, because we weren't selling it for higher, but retailers naturally would go, it's a gold bottle, I couldn't sell it for 50 quid. So they would just, because when there's no price, if I said a can of Coca-Cola, like kind of you guys would go, well, if I have a shop, I can charge £1, £1.50. You kind of know the price. Whereas when it's a new brand, you have no knowledge what that price could be. So you could go like, oh, this can's looks really nice, I'll charge 4 quid for it. Do you know what I mean? So like the pricing was all over the place because retailers would just charge what they kind of wanted to. So that was kind of the thing. Whereas when the flavour came on board, people not only wanted the price point kind of got there, but also people wanted to try the flavour. I think that made a massive difference because people were opening the bottle now, not just putting it on the mantelpiece.
And that's a differentiator as well, because it's a unique flavour.
Yeah, so that was kind of the thing. So like the first 4 years was sort of like, as we said, like building, and we were always doing e-commerce, we were always doing social media, and we were growing the social media in a big way. E-commerce and online was huge for us, but still small in comparison to where we're at now. And, you know, it was a big percentage of our business, but the business was pretty small. And then we sort of brought Sloth on board in sort of 2017, 2018. So he was right in the early days of coming up. We literally used to go up. He was doing a Radio 1 show or whatever. He used to finish at 9 o'clock at night. So we'd drive up from Swansea. We'd meet him at 9 in Cafe Nero by the BBC building for like an hour.
How did you get him involved in the first place?
Just sent him a DM.
Really?
On Instagram saying like, do you want a couple of bottles or whatever, just whatever, and see what you think. And then he was like, oh, love what you guys are doing. I was thinking about setting up my own alcohol company or doing something like that. Be worth having a chat or something like that. I think it was. We had a couple of other people kind of say something similar, but Sloth, we just connected with him, I guess, to be fair. He's kind of one of those people where you see online and you kind of maybe get one impression of him, but actually when you actually get into the details with him and know him better, and obviously we know him, you know, really well now as like a personal friend, and it's been a long time and all that kind of stuff, but he is super switched on and knows the industry. He's also got an incredible contact book. He also understands it really well, whereas I think a lot of the other guys are kind of maybe, they could have been more famous, but actually maybe had worse contacts and also maybe weren't as switched on with the whole marketing thing and understand the whole picture. They've had the success in their own right, and anyone who's successful has kind of been good at marketing in some ways. But Sloth really, to be fair, has done it the hard way, and he's, you know, done it for 20 years and
that's the thing
done
that
it
I learned.
himself, you know. So
I learned that fairly recently because I grew up. I'm 36, and I grew up on like Fire in the Booth.
Yeah,
me and my mates. Like 1 a.m. it's on the TV in the background at parties. Like and so I had a certain view of him, right? But then I've done some research since we started working with you guys, and I was really interested. And the more I dug, the more I realized, he's been at it a long time.
Yeah. And
Fire in the Booth, where he kind of blew up into mainstream, but actually he was extremely smart and extremely driven.
Yeah.
From very early on with this YouTube channel, with all that, with building that entire basically little mini empire and business around content, wasn't he?
Yeah, because pretty much everyone has been successful, like, you know, and obviously some people are one-hit wonder and they're 18 years old and they kind of, and a kind of, they explode in like music or business in the same way. But most people actually do have like a story behind it, that actually Sloth was doing pirate radio when he was 13 and probably didn't get on to BBC till he was 25 or something. Do you know what I mean? So like that's 12 years where he maybe didn't earn as much money and was putting in the hard yards and doing all that kind of stuff. So it's the same with pretty much even the musicians you see and you think they've just exploded. They've normally like a hidden bit that you didn't see, that they've just no one knew about them.
And that's probably what people may think about you when they see this place here, but they don't see, you know, the first office that you were in with Jackson.
The first 4 years was kind of like, it's strange to think that we had a middle office where, you know, it was a big site, but it was, you know, we had all the storage and different stuff as well up there and different things. So it was, and this is obviously more of a HQ kind of premises, but we've been in the bigger sites for pretty much equal this time as we were in the tiny site, which like is kind of strange thing because we were there for about 5 years and here for about 5 years. So it's kind of one of those things where people don't really see that part of, like, everyone sees AU since kind of that COVID time when we exploded, but they don't see the 5 years before that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of where, and that was original, which a lot of people don't know we do. Do you know what I mean? So like that,
Yeah.
which kind of says a lot about what, you know, has happened in different stuff.
This office is crazy. We'll pull up some assets on the screen.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify on the video, we'll pull up some assets if people haven't seen it. But this office is insane.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you, man. You ain't got to say, but what's the cost of this fit out?
So obviously it wasn't like the cheapest, but it wasn't like it wasn't like as crazy as you'd probably think. To be fair, like everything we do, we always try and do it in, you know, we try and get value for money in everything we do. We try and do things for as much cost effective as we can. Like we'll source ourselves. So there's a guy, Ethan, was my assistant and was kind of took on this project. He's 22 now. He's probably 20 when he did it. So like pretty much run it like with me as well, helping him closely. But pretty much he was here for like 6 months doing it all. Obviously the building was here before, but we did, you know, strip it all out. We made it all gold. We customized all the rooms. We did all that kind of stuff. So he was here with like a team of builders for pretty much 6 months. So that kind of kept the cost down by doing it ourselves rather than getting a project manager or getting a big firm in and then paying a lot of fees. So we kind of did it that way. But I think the conversion cost was something like 700k, something like that. 800k was kind of what I think. Obviously you got the price of the building and different stuff, but
700k fit it out.
Yeah. So something like that.
Yeah, it looks like at least 700k as well. I mean,
but I think it's a big building. It's 30,000 square foot, so it's a big building. Anyone will know when you refurb a house, like 700k doesn't go that far. Like if you've got a big house, but this is 30,000 square foot. This is
we found the same in how many?
We spent 40 grand fitting out a 9,000 square foot office for us and our staff where he works, and I mean it's not anything close to that. It's like if you times it by 10, you wouldn't even. Yeah, it's impressive because even I was in the toilets. And I noticed that the inside door handle that you lock it with isn't the normal door handle. It's like stylish. It's been picked. Everything's been hand picked.
And that's the hard balance with what we think. Because we want everything gold, it's kind of like we've kind of got to source it ourselves effectively. And a lot of people source from maybe outside the UK, etc. and different things, which then means we kind of get a good price for it. But it's a lot more work. Whereas it'd be a lot easier just to go to the local store and buy it. But actually, because we want gold, it's a bit harder. Door handle is probably the exception. My gold door handle is actually relatively easy to get.
Gold. This was a silver door lock for the inside of the toilet. But I looked at it and thought, I've never seen one like that before. Yeah. Nothing in here is like default or generic. Everything has been like picked for style or it's how on brand it is. Yeah. 6 months then to do that, I think sounds pretty good.
Yeah. No, we try and do everything as, you know, efficient, as quick as possible and different stuff. Everything we try and do is we always try and like strive for like, go for gold, go for winning. So that's kind of always what we try and do.
Going back to the origins then, so I'm interested, like obviously where it came up from, and then Charlie Sloth came on, you said in 2017. So pre you guys really getting the massive momentum that you have now. What was it you think that sort of drove that explosive growth in the years after that?
So 2019 sort of was the sort of, I would say, real turning point. So going into 2019, we probably were doing about 300k of revenue. So super small. Do you know what I mean? Really, in terms of like, and that's revenue, not profit. That's, you know, we had me and Jackson and maybe 2 employees at that point, whatever. So one was George, who was, I think it was like 15 or 16 at the time, so super young, straight out of school. And then maybe one other guy who was kind of helping us like pack boxes and different stuff, etc. So it was super, super small team. So that was where we got to. 2019, sort of September time, we actually spent probably like 50% of our next year's budget on like a big photo shoot and for the new flavour for Black Grape. So we did that. It was like with Fredo, who's one of the biggest rappers at the time in the UK. And again, through Sloth connections, we probably had a good deal on it and different stuff, and he kind of did Sloth a bit of a favour. So I think that made a huge difference in terms of value. But also we also got him at the point where he was like really in that growth mode. So it was kind of, we got him at the perfect time, I would say, where he wasn't the major one, but he was really growing. And we did that, and it was actually like a private jet photo shoot or whatever, and like video, and it kind of went like kind of semi-viral, went all across Instagram and different stuff. But the funny part is like the private jet didn't actually fly. Like a guy like pulled it out by hand out of like on wheels out of the thing. But the photo shoot, and like I remember editing it. Like I used to do a lot of the editing back in the day and stuff. And I think we had a couple of people doing some stuff, but we used to like change the colour of the cars. So like we'd get like we'd borrow someone's car, or friends we know, which was nice. Then we changed that to purple, and like every single detail would be purple and gold, and we changed all that kind of stuff. But this was kind of way before AI and way before like people really with like Photoshop really kind of did that kind of stuff. So when you saw like the gold car or gold jet or different stuff, etc., it was like, wow, do you get me? And I think that was kind of like a big part of what we were doing, and it was the flavour. No one really had done vodka flavours with that colour as much at that point. Like now, a lot of the brands have now done what we've done. Do you know what I mean? So especially in the UK. In the US, it's maybe slightly different, and we did black grape, which was kind of a flavour no one else had done either. So it's kind of, that was the turning point, I'd say. And then that got us a bit of a, I want to try it. And then it worked online, and then it grew from there. And then we got into Costco, we got into some wholesalers in the later part of that year. So that was kind of like a big point, and we got into like a lot of the independent cash and carries, and it kind of, now stores could buy it, and there was a way of that flow. And then sort of COVID happened, so that was kind of where we got to. And you sort of going into February, March, we've done now 700k revenue or something in the last 7-8 months. So like we've grown a lot now. We've probably tripled the business in the last 6 or 7, 8 months. So like we're really growing. But then we kind of, I remember me and Jackson sitting down. We were actually in McDonald's in Britain Ferry, which no one will know, but McDonald's in Britain Ferry is probably one of the shittest McDonald's in the country. It's like in desperate need of a refurb. But we were going to go to, I think it was Starbucks or something, but because it was New Year's Eve, it was closed. So then we went to McDonald's and did like a bit of a plan on sort of a napkin, and kind of went, what could we do next year? I remember, I think it was like 3.1 million. We thought, like based on what we're doing, if we do this, maybe we do another flavour, get into these things, we'll get into more Costco's, and hopefully we can get a retailer on board and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. We might get to 3.1 million. Let's try that. Let's try and set out and see what we can do. That year, I think we did 43.3 million. So like, it was pretty crazy compared to where we got to. And we literally done 600k the year before, when I was 700k the year before. So that was kind of there. But the crazy part about that is the first 2 weeks of COVID, I remember, so like everyone was kind of, I'm a bit of that type of person where I can't really sit still. So like I'm one of those people where I have to always be doing stuff, and I'm kind of, I'll play football, I'll play paddle, I'll go for runs, I'll like do loads, go to the gym, like I'll do stuff all the time. But the first 2 weeks of COVID, that's all stopped. Do you know what I mean? And kind of, you can't, football stopped and all that kind of stuff. So you've kind of not got that. And it's like, what can we do? And it's like, I remember me and one of the other guys literally was like kitting at the warehouse and doing stuff, whatever we could do, because you could work at that point. You couldn't do anything else really, but you could work. And we were doing that. And then we decided then to like deliver bottles around Swansea, whatever, just for like a bit cheaper, because people wanted it and people wanted it delivered in those days, and it was quite hard. So like that weekend then I think I did 25 deliveries on the Friday, say just like in my normal car, delivering to friends and family for like, I think it was like £25 a bottle. So it's a little bit discount, but it was friends, mate rates or something like that. So we did that, and literally every single person put it on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, then did it the next day, the next week. For one of the guys who's actually our sales director now, who looks after more than like £70 million worth of revenue in a year, Tom, he was literally putting out cones on the motorway. He played football with me, and I said, oh, do you fancy like helping me doing a few deliveries or whatever? Like, cause like whatever, and he said, oh, Sam, I'll come up or whatever. I think we give him like £3 a bottle or something for everyone who sold. In like 2 weeks, he'd sold like 8,000 bottles. So we were like, oh fuck, we're going to have to change this deal a little bit. But he like literally earned like a crazy amount of money.
24 grand.
Yeah, in a short space of time. And he's going to now go back and say, oh, it was actually 7,000. You owe me a bit more money now, to be fair. Is probably what he's going to say. But it was crazy. And in Swansea, we literally had, I think we had like 15 delivery drivers delivering like 30 bottles each a day. Like fast forward like 5 weeks, and that was just like the local buzz. So that then happened at the same time. Costco's were kind of going crazy, so like Cardiff to be a hotspot, Newcastle be a hotspot, Glasgow be a hotspot, Birmingham, and they went, oh, we go from 3 sites to 30 sites. So then like all of a sudden you've 10 extra volume, but also selling out really quick in these places. So like Black Grape just became the flavour of that point, and everyone was tasting it, everyone was mixing it with different flavours, and that just became the trending product, the hottest product you can get. But then what you've got to then remember is we've got 10,000 bottles or something, because I said whatever, we started with 2,000 bottles of the Black Grape as the new flavour, which is the same amount we started with the original actually. But then we've replenished, we go into COVID with 10,000 bottles. We've now sold that in a week. To get our bottles, it takes like 60 days for it to be produced. Probably 30 days, and then 30 days to be made gold, and then maybe another 5 or 10 days to be filled. So, and then you've also got to import it and ship it. So like, the problem you then have is like, how then do you go from doing 10,000 bottles a year to like a couple of million bottles a year? Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's like quite a hard thing to do, but like we did everything possible that people would do, is probably what I would describe it as. And like COVID was happening and it was so hard to do stuff, but like we like the amount of stories from that time is crazy, of like what we did with like different people in the team and different stuff. So
you must have learned so much during that time. Like,
do you mean like people taking on different roles? Like people just,
so like we had so like if you can imagine, like we're sitting in a warehouse now, so we're in like a 5,000 square foot warehouse, 4 walls. Like we've just expanded there, whatever, and we've just we've literally taken the unit next door because we're like, we need a bit more space, we need that. We used to, every single day we would get the distillery to make bottles. We would then, at one point, I asked the question of how long could you make bottles if you didn't have to do the labeling? Because the labeling was done by hand at this point. It was not by machine, and because of the way it was set at the start. And they were like, oh, well, if we didn't do that, we'd probably do double. And I was like, well, okay, great. We'll label more ourselves. So then for like literally like 6 months, we would like work our normal job. And then in the night, we would just label bottles from like 6 p.m. to like 1 a.m. Like probably could send you some videos, but like it was literally like crazy in terms of like, but the guys, like all the guys loved it because there was nothing else to do in that time. And it was like, everyone was pretty young. Everyone was like early 20s, kind of like, there's not really much else to do. And it was like a proper like band of brothers, and like people were on furlough and maybe coming in to help. And like, it was like one of those things, and everyone just jumped on, and friends and family happened and all that kind of stuff. But it was literally, you can imagine us all in a warehouse, basically. There was like, I don't know, there was like massive speakers with like massive songs on, and it was just like everyone just packing and causing carnage and trying to do that to try and get things out. So
I mean, no wonder you've still got people working for you today who are part of that period, because if they go through that with you, like you said, it's like they're in the trenches together. Yeah. Like it's their journey as well now.
No, massive. There's so many guys like who've done some crazy stuff. So like two of the guys actually, so Sam and Alex, who's like actually a good friend from school from thing, and then Sam was just like at the point was like kind of one of the guys who started working for us, kind of brought him on board. He's one of their mates, but what a good guy, and he's gone around all around the world for us, to be fair. Like, but one of the stories in COVID was we run out of capsules, so we've now got a product which we can sell for £40 on the shelf, and because of a capsule which costs a penny, we can't make it, which is quite an annoying piece to be. It's like the capsule is the plastic around the top, effectively, like that, like they're covering the lid. So that little, like that capsule, we didn't have any. So then it's like, how do we then get them? Or we could do plain purple. So we managed to find some of them and put them on or whatever, and got plain purple, etc. But then we run out, and then it's like, COVID is like, it's going to take 3 weeks to ship it because they were made in Bulgaria or whatever, and that's one of the biggest places to make capsules in the world. And just all these places are different places. The corks often come from Portugal, because Portugal's known for cork, and like naturally, even though it may be synthetic cork, the biggest cork manufacturers are all in Portugal. Do you get me? And kind of what happens in the world is there's all these things. So we ended up sending him with like 5 empty suitcases to Bulgaria. He met our supplier in the airport and then like brought them back. But then we had the capsules 8 hours after we needed them. So we got them instantly. Whereas if they would put it on a truck, it would have taken 3 weeks. You put it on DPD, it would have taken 2 weeks, because those days everything got stopped. So like
back and forth in the
every single thing we just used to DIY ourselves. The labels got made in France. We'd send people over in like my old car, like, and just fill the truck, fill the boot full of labels, and get it back to the distillery, and we'd put it under. Like, we'd say to the distillery, like, you're packing tomorrow, and they'd be like, we got no labels. We'd send them to France. They'd put it under the boot of his car. So then when he woke up in the morning, the guy from the distillery would then pick it up from the boot under his thing, put it in his boot, and then be able to label. There's like so many crazy stories of like how we used to do this stuff, which was mental, but we kind of made it work, to be fair. But that's kind of, a lot of that is kind of the ethos that we try and still instill today, is that we've got to try and do things a little bit differently to how everyone else does it, because if we would have sat back and kind of done it the normal process, we never would have built what we built. We would have got to maybe 7 or 8 million of revenue, I think, and think we would have done really well, but we wouldn't have got to where we got to, you know?
So, yeah, I mean, fuck me. That is just a great example of just the high level problem solving. Like anything that comes up, like, right, send the geezer, suitcases.
We just brainstorm ways. Like we'd be like, oh, we can get bottles, or we can get bottles. So we were getting from Europe at this point. We found someone then in China who could make bottles. We quoted to get like, how much does it cost to charter a jet to get these bottles across and blah, blah, blah. Worked out that's really not a good way of doing it. So we didn't do that way. But like, we're thinking of any possible way here of like, how can we solve this problem? And, the creativity was quite big. We didn't do every idea, but we thought about it. We thought about it.
Going back to what you said earlier, it's like, this is what separates the truly successful generational entrepreneurs, I think.
Yeah.
And then the sort of mediocre or the less successful is that mindset of like.
But we loved it. Like we didn't do it because obviously there's always, you kind of always trying to build a business, you're trying to build as possible. But a lot of it was just, we just loved it, to be honest. And like, we'd unload trucks and, even a couple of years later when we were doing the storage and stuff, like we'd still unload, we'd get a load of the team and we'd unload the truck by hand ourselves, because we could have let the warehouse team do it, but we kind of quite like getting our hands dirty and getting in the deep end and doing that. And like, if it meant a bit of that and getting back in the back of the lorry and unloading boxes, like, I don't know, we quite liked it. We strangely loved it. I don't know why.
Sounds like it's probably an exciting time because the thing's moving like crazy now.
Yeah.
And so everyone's excited to be like, that something's happening right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you miss it? Like, because this HQ, you don't have the warehouses.
No, we do have a small warehouse at the back, but we don't do, most of our deliveries don't come from here now. Do you know what I mean? Only a lot of the local ones and smaller ones and different bits, but you probably do miss it a little bit. And I think the kind of seeing it there was really nice, but it's also at some point there's a time where it becomes harder and you're doing, I think this week we've done something like 1,500 pallets or something like that in the last 2 days shipped out. So like, when you think of that, it's a lot.
What's a pallet, by the way, for people that don't know?
So a pallet, so like a full truck will fit 26 pallets.
Right.
So that kind of gives you a bit of context.
How many pallets you done?
So 1,500 in the last couple of days of Tango.
That's many trucks.
Yeah. So that's like 60 trucks.
Jeez.
And that's just trucks out.
Yeah.
But there'll also be 60 trucks into the warehouse of the same pallets, and there'll also be movements as well. So it's like, when you think of that, it's like in the last couple of days, 60 full trucks of AU gone to retailers, gone to Tesco's, gone to Booker, Tiles.
Fanta must be shitting themselves. Fanta must be shitting themselves.
I don't know. I think obviously the Tango collab's class for us, and I think it's such a perfect collab for us because their brand is kind of edgy and different and stuff like that, but way more different generation maybe and 20, 30 years ago, but it's and obviously still now, but they've been around a lot longer than us. But I think it's perfect for us because what it does is anyone who loves Tango, who may never have heard of AU or maybe heard of it but never thought it was for them, maybe would try this product and then try the other AU products, and I think that'll happen. But also the other way around, I think Tango is maybe a brand that hasn't been talked about as much in the last 5-10 years and maybe is now. So I think for both parties it could be like a really good collaboration and a good thing where both could really win. And I think that's where the collabs really work, is kind of a,
you've got a nostalgia element.
You've kind of got they've got a lot more history, we've kind of got a lot more current, and I think that's a nice mix. Whereas if we were both new brands, maybe it wouldn't have worked as well. If we were both historical brands, maybe it wouldn't have worked as well. I think having that kind of similar ethos but have the different timelines is really important for this, and I think it could work.
It's a collab made in heaven for all the reasons you just said. And in what Tango has got a special place in my heart because I don't drink cola. So I've always been drinking like fizzy oranges. But without being disrespectful, from my perspective anyway, they're not like you said, they're not really up there with the most modern or current, in terms of they're not maybe in the zeitgeist as much, at least not in my world. But then they do have that respect and that legacy and that stability. But then AU is obviously absolutely popping off, and it's like very current. So they get that from you guys, and then you get that kind of that legacy from them. I think it would do wonders for both brands.
I think it could work, and I think so far it's gone pretty crazy. Like we literally sold 3 million cans in like the first 3 days and sold out, which is probably one of the biggest can launches of RTDs probably in the UK. I'm not sure where our biggest launch before this would probably be maybe cherry cans when we launched them, but wouldn't have been as big as this. And I'm not sure if hardly any brands in sort of cans of alcoholic cans in the UK would have done that. Do you mean? I'm it'd be interesting to see the stats, but it's pretty crazy. And then the next run would be almost sold out already, even though it's not going to come in for 3 or 4 weeks already. Do you know what I mean? So it's on that trajectory. It's just now see the customers like it, the people want to reorder and buy it, which I think they will, because I think everyone who tastes it loves it. But that's what you still don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, but the stores are selling out and they want it, and my phone's getting blown up every minute of different retailers and different stuff. Because I'm like, that's one of the other things which is a bit strange about it, is like, I'm still in WhatsApp groups with like 200, 300 different retailers, and they'll like ring me and go like, oh, can I have like 1 case or something? And then it's like, but I'll always say yes, because they're our heartland of our customers. So like, even though maybe sometimes people would say it's not a good use of your time to maybe deal with one customer who's got a small store in Scunthorpe, like, I don't see it like that. I see it as that's actually the biggest store in Scunthorpe and the most important person there. So actually for that area, he's the most important person. So actually it is super important to stay engaged with the customers, but also the retailers. Like, I love that stuff more than sometimes the big boys as well.
I think that's right.
I think everyone's important. So yeah,
no, definitely. Yeah. Those are the local shops. Those are like the real people.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's made Tango more exciting for sure.
Yeah.
It's given them like a massive pop of excitement. So look, we wouldn't, we can't have this chat with you and not ask about the Eden Hazard story.
Yeah.
Right. So for those who don't know, or anyone who's not a football fan or anyone who is, Eden Hazard's very famous Chelsea player.
Yeah.
You was a ball boy.
Yeah.
For Swansea?
For Swansea.
How old were you?
17. I'd literally just turned 17 at the time. So I literally did ball boying since I was probably like, I don't know, 11, 12 to probably all the way up to like 16.
Anyone who's like
15,
American, any Americans watching this who don't know football, like ball boy is obviously on the side of the pitch.
Yeah.
Chucking the ball back to the players.
Tracking back to the players.
So that's kind of what it was. And then obviously over the years, I kind of was like one of those, I think like a lot of it was kind of, if you were a super big Swans fan, I always used to sit in a exact spot, same spot. So I'd be there and it'd be like this, like towards the away end where like the noisy like Swans fans were, and they kind of over time knew me, and like I would always be the one who like time waste a little bit more and like do like things a little bit like a bit rogue, I would say. But at the same time, I was just like a kid who just wanted his team to win. Do you know what I mean? So like it was kind of one of those things. So I think over the years people kind of knew me, but then for like a year, maybe a year and a half, I didn't do it. So I didn't do it for like a year and a half, and then that day it was snowing in Swansea because it was in January, and they rang me up and said, "Oh, we haven't got anyone to do it. Can you help out or whatever," and different stuff. And they rang like just a couple of people who never really done it before to try and do it. So I was like, oh yeah, class, whatever. So then I was like, oh, brilliant, etc. And then obviously my dad is involved in the Swans as well, and kind of like a massive Swans fan as well. So we're kind of like going like, oh, we just need to win this game. We're winning 2-0 against Chelsea, which we've won away from home, which is pretty mental. But like this game now is just, can we just get through it? Do you know what I mean? So that was kind of what it was. So like during that game, which people probably don't know and really seen, was like in that game, it was kind of, I was slowing it down so much. So what I used to do, which is probably a bit naughty to be fair, but there was like multi-ball system. So basically what that means is you have multiple balls in the game. So like every ball boy has their own ball. But I used to just put my ball below my seat and then just run and get the other ball, because that would just take way longer than chucking my other ball back. Does that make sense? If it was in the crowd, I'd run into the crowd and like ask them to throw back,
running down,
rather than throw another one in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like I would just do that, and that was kind of the thing. But then what happened very quickly is the Chelsea players realised that every time he came to my side, it was like super slow. So if you watch like the highlights back of the full game, every time he comes to my side, all the Chelsea players, like not all, but one, would run over to my side to like get the ball back a bit quicker, because they knew it was like so slow, like that side. So like, and then one point in the game, I think like I chucked it over and it literally went over like, I think it was Juan Mata's like fingers were like about this much, and then like all the fans were going like, oh, like singing something about a ball boy or something random. So it was pretty nuts. And then when the Hazard thing happened, it was just a bit of a, like, I thought I've seen him running to get the ball, but then I've obviously run to get the ball, because I think if I can get there first, it'll be a bit slower than if he gets it first. So I kind of like, that's kind of what's going through my head, and then it's kind of a tangle and then whatever and different stuff. So
well, let's explain it. So you grabbed the ball, and then you kind of like held it.
So I don't know. I think like it happened so fast and so quick that like I don't really remember like the bit happening. It's more just I remember like thinking about going and getting it or whatever, and then by the time you get there, it's like you kind of
adrenaline.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Well, so that kind of happened, and then
he boots you.
So then he boots me, and then obviously like he gets sent off. We go to the cup final, and then win that cup final and go to Europe and all that kind of stuff, to be fair. So it's a pretty mad story, and probably one a lot of people would be not like happy about, I would suppose. But for me, it's the kind of like, it's part of my story. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like,
and it wasn't
a crazy story, and it's like one of those things that, you know, in hindsight, would I do that again now? Probably not. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like I was just doing what I didn't realize, trying to do as much as we can for the team and all that kind of stuff.
I didn't realize how consequential it actually was. Like the fact that, I mean, it may have played into them getting to the final, winning the final, going to
I think they would have got there anyway. It was like, I think it was the 75th minute.
Yeah.
And we were 2-0 down against Chelsea. But then, you know, who knows if they go and score in the 70th.
I would take the credit.
Maybe they score again. Do you know what I mean? So
let's not get twisted, right? You're 17. You're a crazy Swansea fan.
Yeah.
You know, and you've been probably been a little shit.
Yeah.
Right. But you must have been a legend.
Yeah. No, it was mad.
You must have felt like a legend.
And that's why it was such a big story. Like that day. So, and then I literally I was driving. I remember I was back home because obviously, even though I was 17, I was just in 17, so I think I could drive at the time or whatever. But I was in my mum's car on the way home from the game, and she just had like hundreds of reporters ringing her straight away. So like it was crazy. And then what's it called? That night then, it was like, obviously everyone was out celebrating the Swans game or whatever, etc. So like a few of the players and stuff who I knew and stuff back then were like, oh, come out and blah, blah, blah. Even though I was very young, they were like, oh, they get me in, and like everyone was having pictures and it was pretty nuts, whatever. So I was like out in like, I think it was out in like Wine Street, which is like the big street in Swansea. And I got home at like, I think it was like 4 or 5 a.m. And my dad was there as well, and like family and food, like everyone was kind of there and different stuff, but everyone was loving it. Got home at like 4 or 5 a.m. At 6 a.m. There was like 25 television cameras like filming my next door neighbour's front door. They thought it was that house, not that house. But if I would have turned up like an hour later, they would have seen like me like walking in from a night out behind the thing. So luckily, people that didn't happen, to be fair. But my mum woke up to like someone going on your house, but like literally Al Jazeera News were outside my house.
Wow.
So if that tells you like how big this was, it was nuts. So like obviously all the big television cameras were there, but like when you've got an Al Jazeera van, you know some stuff's gone down.
It's so funny. It's so funny. Like, and it must have been so surreal. Like,
so it's crazy. So I live on like a farm as well. So like that was things. So then every day, anyone who drove through the drive or whatever and the gates and stuff would like got like 100 like, or maybe not 100 but 50 like paparazzi like through the back window, like all that kind of stuff. And like to get out the house, if we wanted to go somewhere or do something, we'd like walk through like the back field and like get someone to pick us up from the side like gates. We'd have to walk through a field and like,
how long did that last
and stuff. I think they were outside my house for like 4 weeks.
What?
Like that.
Are you serious?
So it was pretty much. And then I went down and stayed with like my dad's friend, and my friends had like a different house somewhere else, which is a bit more private and a bit more whatever.
And
so
in this time,
we stayed down there for a bit as well.
Did you hear from the team? Did you hear from Chelsea? Like,
well, obviously I spoke to them after the game, to be fair. So I remember speaking to, I think it was Hazard, John Terry and Lampard actually, like in the tunnel or whatever. So I spoke to them, and it was just all good, and just kind of just saying, you know, nothing really got said, just whatever, to be fair.
Was Hazard like, sorry about that?
I think, but obviously it was a bit of a thing, but it was kind of like, it was a bit of a mad one, and I think for him it was like a big deal. And obviously we did the shoot with him the last year, whatever. So I still message him quite a lot now. So like he messages me, like he likes the blue raspberry, so he always sends me photos of like blue raspberry, Fanta lemon. So he's
a brand ambassador now.
Kind of. We did a photo shoot, so we did like a big YouTube video or whatever of me and him. Like we went out to Madrid and played golf together and did a few things, to be fair. So it was kind of like a bit of a full circle moment. And yeah, but he's just, to be fair, he's just a normal, really nice guy. Like he's not doing football anymore. I think he's got 5 kids and doing his kind of family life kind of thing and paying that back rather than that side. But he's just, to be fair, he is just a really nice,
good on him,
nice guy, to be fair. And like it's quite strange that we kind of message and speak and different stuff. Like there's a photo, so like Lille, which is his like first ever club, they've just listed the AU cans, and they've got a massive poster in the Lille stadium, and it's like me and Hazard with like 2 cans, and then that's in like his hometown club or whatever and different stuff, which is pretty mental to think that like that's kind of happened years later and there, to be fair. So, but it's just a story that no one will ever forget, and it's the reason why it was so big. I think like I'd compare it to something like a Brexit or something like that, where 50% of people think that's good and 50% think people think that's bad. It's a huge story. Whereas if everything's just terrible, it kind of happens for a couple of days and it goes down. If everything's just great, it happens for a couple of days and goes down. Whereas this story was so polarizing that it probably even today people still talk about it and have an opinion on it. So it's pretty crazy.
I watched a clip recently leading up to this, and I just remember thinking, like I said, like with respect to like little shit, what a legend. So I was like, you know, the like the fans and the like must have been going absolutely crazy for that.
Yeah, no, it is a pretty, like in football, it is quite a iconic moment in a way, like which is quite like, I don't know, it's good and bad and different stuff and different bits, but it's part of my journey. And I think a big part for me was not being just known as that. And I think like doing the AU journey, a big part of like the drive probably was like, I'm probably still drive now. Like the next thing, you know, if AU at some point you're not doing in 10, 20 years time or whatever, like it's then not being just known for that. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like you want to keep bettering yourself, and that's the type of person I always am, is trying to, you want to, you know, if it's the same as any football player, if they're the best player for Arsenal and then they move to a different club, they want to be the best player for that team. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like you want to make sure you kind of leave a different legacy and different stuff as well. So that's, do
you think you get bored if you were in something that wasn't moving, quickly evolving constantly? Like if it's stopped being a rapid growth, constantly innovating company and just became like maintaining?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it'd be hard to deal with kind of in a way when you've had that journey and this kind of thing. And obviously that's the nice thing about business compared to football is there's less time limit on it. There's no like, you can still be 80 and have a thriving business and it'd be going crazy. So, you know, I feel like there's a lot of time left and different stuff for to do more things and different things. And AU can do loads of other things as well. I feel like AU is still a huge brand. It's a huge brand in the UK, but I feel like it can be a global brand. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like, obviously, you know, doing some good numbers in Europe and doing some good numbers in America and different stuff, but there's so many other places and that we're not in. Do you know what I mean? And so many places that we could do better in and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you know, when you think of the world, it's a massive place. Yeah. And does AU and I mean the gold symbolising AU and periodic table, that kind of works everywhere. It's not really like a brand that, you know, certain brands is hard for them because when you go to different language, it doesn't really make sense. Or do you know what I mean? Whereas AU kind of is one of those ones where it's quite simple, but it kind of works. And I feel like that's something which hopefully we could work well for us.
We actually have an office out in Bulgaria. I live in Bulgaria, so I travel back for this week. And one of our account managers who works on the affiliate program, which we manage for you guys, she actually saw an AU vodka bottle or can in one of the shops out there. She was so excited. But she's not going to be the only one either. Like it is just like you said, it can be anywhere. Like it can be global.
It's a big old world, and US is something that I think I've seen. I follow Charlie Sloth on Instagram, and he been putting loads of stuff out recently about stuff happening in the US. Like, what's the deal there? Is it complicated in terms of licensing and getting that thing off the ground from a business point of view?
Yeah, I think the business back end is definitely very different, and you kind of got to navigate that. I think like what we are trying to do, though, the biggest thing we always think about is the consumer pull is the most important thing, because if people want the product, they'll find a way to get it. Whereas what you don't want to be doing is pushing product into a place where no one wants it. So we always try and focus on, let's try and build people who love the brand. Do you mean? So like online now we've got, you know, there's some people online spending like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year just on AU. And obviously they'll be buying it for parties, they'll be buying it maybe for friends and family. So like it may not just be just for them, but there's some serious loyal customers who absolutely love it and want to buy all the flavours, want to have the collection, want to buy the cans, want to, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's finding more and more people like that who absolutely love it, because they'll bring another 100 people into the brand or something as well. So they're the people who make the big differences. If you can get those super loyal fans, I believe that's a big thing. And, you know, that's kind of, we always see them as fans and different stuff rather than customers and different things. And we try and do some stuff a bit different to maybe other people would do, because they are so important for your business, and one wrong delivery and they don't get a refund or whatever might mean they never buy again. And it's like, it's little things like that which hopefully makes a bit different. Like still now, like we did a Christmas, I think took me a long time, to be fair, to write them out, but I think we sent our best 500 customers online a handwritten like Christmas card just saying thank you, blah blah blah, and whatever, and giving them, I think there was an offer or giving them some money off or something, like as a bit of a thank you, which most people maybe wouldn't do. Do you know what I mean? But I think that pays pays back. You don't see the ROI on that, but I actually think the ROI on it is bigger than any offer you could ever do. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I see it, and it's kind of more personal then as well, which I think makes a big difference.
I think it's a great idea. If I'm one of your top 500, given how many customers or fans, buyers you've got, if I'm in the top 500, I'm serious.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not going to be a surprise that they're a big customer, and then to get that would be a surprise though, because then suddenly you feel like super appreciated.
Yeah, and it's something that doesn't cost us hardly anything at all. Obviously, it costs a bit of time and whatever, but I feel like that's sometimes the time is worth more, isn't it, than the gift? And I feel like that's something,
especially to that person, because that person of all your customers, that one really cares about the brand.
Do, and
now they're even more bought in. I think that's genius. Did you 500 handwritten?
Handwritten, like I think like the handwritten part for me is like important because anyone can just send a letter from me. Whereas I think if it's not handwritten, it's not the same. Do you get what I mean? I feel like with everyone doing so many emails and different stuff, etc. now, which obviously we do loads of and it's really effective and really works well, I think doing something which is so old school that no one now does is actually can be different to what everyone else is doing. So
did Jackson also do 500 or?
I think he did. I think we did split it. I think we did split it or whatever. I think we wrote it from both of us, to be fair. So and from Charlie as well, to be fair. I don't think Sloth wrote any, to be fair. Because I think he was out of the country, so he managed to get away with just having his name at the bottom of the card, which probably was nice. But Jackson, to be fair, did a lot as well.
It's probably how my wife feels about Christmas cards. I managed to sneak on with my name there. I don't even. But when it comes, you said about like you want to find those customers, those fans that are going to become super fans, collectors, like buy into the culture. What do you think is the best way to find them for everything you've learned through your marketing? Like, what's the best route for getting those kind of customers?
I think obviously like there's a lot of different factors. I think the biggest thing in food and drink ever, always will be is flavour and taste. Because like you can have the best looking brand, different brand, etc. But if it doesn't taste good, you won't buy it again. So actually, if you like that strawberry milkshake and you thought it was really good and actually you want to make it with your friends, you might buy a bottle and you might share it with people. If you didn't like it, you'd drink it and then never drink it again. So I think that's always the biggest thing. But I do think for us, I think it's almost like we a lot of the time just do stuff that we like and we feel like a lot of the people in this business, probably 90% of the business is between the ages of 18 and 30 or whatever, or 18 and 35, and in that target market. So if they like it, then probably a lot of other people will like it. So we kind of do a lot of the stuff which we just think like we think that's good and other people will like it. And I think that's the way, sometimes a better way to think. Whereas if you try and think like, what do our customers want? Or what does the market want? Or what's the data saying? It may not be the best thing that they actually want. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes, and I think that's kind of what we've always done. And sometimes there's trends, but actually are those trends just UK-wide trends, and our customers don't really like that trend. Do you know what I mean? So we try and think of it of what do we like and what do our customers like, who kind of maybe hopefully think a similar way to we think, So that's kind of how we think.
Tastemakers. No, we had a guy on the podcast. It was a great episode. George Sullivan. He's the founder of a thing called the Soul Supplier, which is Europe's biggest sneaker. Do you know?
Yeah.
Europe's biggest sneaker platform and community. And he said, they deal with all the big brands, all the big fashion brands and sneaker brands, and they'll say like, we want to target people between 18 and 25 who love football and fashion. And he goes, cool, great. What percentage of your marketing team are in that demographic? And they'll go like 5%. Is that right? Well, how the hell are you going to do that then? You're just guessing, they might like this. It's not authentic. So everything you guys do is for yourself, you're saying, and you guys are in the demographic of the ideal customer anyway.
Yeah.
Bang on. What about influencers? Like, do you like the word influencer, creator, celebrity? Like, what, brand ambassador? What do you call it? You got a lot of them.
Yeah, I think probably ambassador would probably is a word we'd use, but I think it's kind of changed the landscape as well quite a lot. I think we probably changed with it. I think now we're kind of trying to do more, I suppose, like more authentic kind of ambassadors, people. I'd say whereas I think before it was kind of like, there's obviously things we've done well and things not well, but I think the best ones are ones where if people love the brand, like, then you go and do something with them, and it's kind of like paying them back for that rather than just doing something random with someone. And it's like,
so not picking people up and going, hey, you think your audience is right, trying to recruit them. They already naturally, organically around the brand.
I think so, or like associated with it, or that like, I think if it feels right, I think it's a good shout. Whereas I think if it's not, I just don't know how we feel about it. So like, I don't know, a good example would be, say with Jim Skin, for example. Like we had Schooner Score down here the other day, and like they both love the brand, but never really done anything with us and tasted it and different stuff. But they've been following us and seeing our journey, and we've been following them and liking their journey, and then it kind of makes sense. Whereas if it's just someone random who comes in and doesn't really care about the brand, it's a bit like, I don't know, I don't feel like it'll be good for us in terms of how much we'll spend versus what we'll get back. I don't think that'll be as good, but I also don't think it just feels right either. So I think it's like, if we can do something that feels right, it'll probably work better in that way as well. So I think that's something, I think it's really important, but I think it's something where as you get bigger, especially in the UK, the brand gets really big as well. So it's like, how much it's then AU is really important and the brand ambassador is really important. So it's more about fit, and does it fit with our customers and their fan base? And if that works, then it works. Whereas at the start, you're kind of really small, so you're kind of just trying to get their fan base. And I feel like that's a very different position. Whereas at the moment now, it's kind of making sure that fit is important. Whereas at the start, you're kind of trying to get their fan base, and then you're kind of in that section as a brand. So I think it's I don't know, it changes, I think, as time goes on, is what I think.
You're saying you guys are so up there now, and I agree, in the culture and everything, that you almost like, there's a mutually beneficial thing to come.
I think it's a bit mutually beneficial, but I think it's also probably more important to be more selective now, because our brand is got an identity, and if we pick someone outside of that identity, then it can kind of, it doesn't feel right and doesn't shift. Whereas at the start, you're still in the finding what identity that is. Do you know what I mean? And is it people who are big drinkers? Is it people who don't drink at all? Is it people who are older, younger, rap music, house music? Like, you've got to kind of pick your lane a little bit more. And if you pick the wrong lane or go too wide, then what is the brand? Do you get me? If you go too narrow, then are you only just that brand? So there's a balance of it. And for us, it's always been about, we just do what we want to do. And if someone is 75 and loves AU, that's great. Like I've never really thought about that. Obviously, said there's a target market, there's a thing, but there's loads of different age groups of people who love AU for different reasons. And I think that's something which is quite different about our brand. So
cool. How do you measure those collaborations? Do you look at it in terms of you look at the performance, you look at the sales that come off the back of a collab, and when everybody's sharing on socials or whatnot, or do you see it more of as just like a halo effect type of situation?
I think the days of seeing like a collaboration and then seeing like a crazy ROI, unless it's someone who's like exploded overnight, I think those days are kind of gone. But what I think it is can you then do a lot of stuff on the paid side, and then that gives you a better return on some of the ads you're doing and different stuff, etc. Can you get more people to see it? So I think in terms of when you're measuring like the return on investment on it, I think the days of doing that thing. So you're kind of doing it more for a brand piece, which is kind of nicer in a way, because you're then doing it how you feel. Whereas in the early days, it's kind of a little bit more, and maybe 5 years ago, I think the landscape was different, where if you pick the right person, you could get a crazy return, but they may not be the people that you maybe want.
Are you saying as well that the brief had to change as well? That it was like, use my code, do it now. You know.
Yeah, I think there was a time with that, and I think there was a time that did actually work. And I feel like as customers have kind of got used to that, everyone knows it's just so addy out there. Whereas it's hard then to kind of go, well, actually, I'm going to listen to that code and buy that code. If it's a product you already want, you may then use the code. But I think that kind of stuff works less and less. Probably still can work in parts, but I think that's kind of the way I think about it. It's more about who is associated with our brand, who does our customers want to see. Can we use people who resonate with our customer base, and people will like, oh, that's so cool, AU's got Jim Skin or whatever, and I like Jim Skin, like AU, that's class. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if it's like someone else who doesn't kind of associate with that, I don't know if that works as well for us anymore.
Totally agree. And like, you're echoing again, to bring up again, but you're echoing the sole supplier founder, like he's saying something so similar as well. It's like, we're not optimizing or investing for the sale of today. Now we're investing in the sale of tomorrow.
Yeah.
And is that kind of how you see it as well with the brand? It's like you're looking to get that customer in on the right terms, for the right reason, for the long term.
I think we've seen it. Like, obviously, like, we've done some stuff with some huge people. Did stuff with Snoop Dogg the other day and brought him to the HQ. But we did that because he's invested in Swansea Football Club and he was here, and that kind of made sense. And Sloth knows him and did a fire in the booth with him at the same time and all that kind of stuff. So like, that made sense and that worked. Whereas, would we have done that if you was just not in Swansea and not associated with it at all? Probably not. Do you know what I mean? Because it would have been a bit more random and different stuff. So I think there's kind of like, we're trying to look at what's the right fit, what makes what's going to bring the biggest noise. I think there's, all these different things we're always thinking about.
That's why I think the podcast, I mean, you built this great studio, and that's why I think whatever direction you take it down, it's cool. But I can imagine a world where next time you got Snoop Dogg flying in to do some stuff with Swansea, to do some stuff with you, you could bring him in here and do it like a podcast as well.
Yeah, no, it would be pretty cool to try and use the room and stuff.
It's so brand building. Can I ask you, not ask you to pick favourites, but what do you think is the most impactful ambassador campaigns you've ever done? Or what are your favourites?
I guess it'd be hard to go past the Fredo one, just because that was the one that was a big part of the Black Grape grow, starting and our start of our journey. So all the others was big, but I think that was kind of the biggest shift change. But I think all the early days, we kind of used to, and again, the mark has changed where now we do a lot of different stuff and we're a lot wider audience, but there was a point in time where, and you can go back on YouTube and find them, and we always used to do and this was, again, the era was a little different, but we used to do launch videos, and we had Charlie Sloth in a camper van, mixing blue liquids and all that kind of stuff, Breaking Bad kind of style themed, and we did all these different videos, and those campaign videos were prop, in those days, people used to love them and really followed the story. It was almost like a mini movie rather than a ad, and I feel like that's something which really, really worked for us, and something which we are going to try and bring back a little bit more and do stuff, even though it may not work as well in today's world.
Why do you think it might not?
I mean, longer form stuff.
I think the longer form can work. I think it's just more. I think then it was so different and new, whereas I feel like now a lot of brands do.
Oh, you mean branded content, quality content?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably less different, but I think there is something when we were doing them and got really creative with them and really thought hard about them. I do think there was something there, and
when was that?
Just love that. That was probably 2020, 21, 22. That
I agree. That was quite cutting edge at the time. I used to work with a company that did all that stuff, and they were doing, I think it was Foot Locker.
Yeah,
they were doing it was just a fully fledged YouTube series, Big Brother style kind of reality thing. It was just Foot Locker produced.
Yeah,
and it's nothing to do with the products. It was just getting your brand mind share.
Yeah.
But it probably is being done a lot more now.
Yeah,
but you guys were doing it earlier.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think we should definitely bring it back and do some sort of them kind of videos, because I think they did work and get people in. And even if it doesn't get loads of views, it's more about the people who love it, and that's kind of probably just as important. So I think we should do them kind of things a little bit more. We have got quite a few coming up with obviously the Tango stuff as well, to be fair. So we have got quite a few different videos.
Stuff you can talk about?
Stuff, just think. A few things, we're just trying to look at what, different ads, I guess, and different things, just trying to play on a couple of the old maybe Tango ads and different stuff, etc., that they did back in the day, and try and put our twist on it and see if we can get people, because if you can create content that people love to watch, as well as it's not really it's an ad, but it's people that they also want to watch it. And I think that's the big difference that we kind of have done it when we've done things well. We've done is people want to watch it, and they're almost on our Instagram going down our videos, watching our videos because they want to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But really, they are getting advertised the product all the time. So it's kind of it's a very different way of consuming content. Whereas if you go on to, I don't know, a washing up liquids Instagram, it's different.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of the
when your branded content can stand toe to toe with just organic creative content, that's when you know you're onto something.
Yeah,
you've been Tango would go off. Is that what you're talking about?
There's a few bits, to be fair, a few bits which we've done films and stuff, so there'll be a few bits.
He doesn't want to spoil it. He don't want to spoil it.
Yeah. Forgive my naivety, but did you ever do TV ads, or is that something you're just not interested in at all?
I don't think we've ever done a TV ad. Which some people have talked about, asked about. Some people probably would potentially try, but again, if we were going to do it, we'd want to do it differently to how everyone else does it, and what's our twist that we can maybe put on it that maybe could work. But something we should try, but it's not something we've done yet.
Yeah.
So.
If you really want to reach those 75-year-olds that you mentioned earlier, you know where to go. But I mean, to be fair, ITV and other VODs, it's like buying programmatic display ads nowadays.
Yeah.
Because it's so crazy targeted. You can target people just in Swansea, for example. You can target people age demographics. Can I ask you about the Jake Paul thing?
Yeah.
Right. So Jake, do you know about this?
I've heard this.
Jake Paul got a tattoo. I saw it on my feed long before we worked together.
Yeah.
Right. Just saw it because it went so big. He got AU Vodka logo tattooed. There's articles online saying like, oh, he did it for 200 grand.
Yeah.
I don't know if he put that out or whatever, or it was a temporary tattoo, or what is all that like?
So obviously we were kind of thinking about like, obviously at this point Jake Paul was about to do the fight. I think it was the Tommy Fury fight or whatever, but obviously it was like kind of one of the biggest fights that there was out there, and obviously it was kind of the celebrity boxing world. So like Sloth kind of had a few, I think knew him or whatever through different people. So we were kind of like, oh, what about this campaign, and we'll whatever fake tattoo Jake Paul and do that kind of stuff, and people whatever will talk about it. And I think that was kind of one thing which we wouldn't have done the Jake Paul campaign without the fake. Like it was kind of one of those things where like, if you can do the both, it's like, that's crazy. Whereas if you just do Jake Paul with a bottle, like, what does that do? Do you know what I mean? It's like, whereas if you can do Jake Paul getting tattooed and AU tattoo, like, that's pretty nuts. And I feel like that's something which we were kind of thinking. So then off the back of that as well, what we did was kind of, which went even more crazy, which probably in hindsight, we probably wouldn't do again, because it was crazy. But then after that, we did like a tattoo event in Swansea where you could get an AU tattoo, and I think you got like, I think it was like 250 quid worth of AU stuff or something like that, whatever. And we thought like, oh, no one will turn up. It'll just be like just a bit of a joke. Maybe one nut will turn up.
Yeah.
We literally had like 250 people queuing overnight in tents outside our old HQ, and like you can see the videos online, but it's like there was like a crazy long queue. But then the problem then was we only had 2 tattoo artists, so then we could only get like 50 people done. So then like 200 people, 150 people queued overnight to get a tattoo, which couldn't get it. Do you know what I mean? So then it was like,
were they pissed?
We give them some stuff and we give them some AU merch, so like they were probably less pissed than they could have been. But some of them had driven from, you know, Birmingham to camp overnight to get a tattoo and then couldn't get one. So it wasn't like the nicest situation, but like it was a hard one as well, because like we were literally there from like, we were planning on doing it from whatever 12 till 3, and then or whatever it was, and then people are queuing. So then it's like you start a bit earlier, finish a bit later, but then the tattoo artists have got to go home at a certain point, and you kind of can't fit everyone in. So
that's I can imagine you doing something like that.
Well, I'm going
like
to get
a
one,
limited
in a
edition,
couple of weeks. You know, the Philly Fest, and we'll talk about it because you guys are sponsoring. I don't know if you know about this, but sponsoring the drinks. To get products on lips. But these I've got, my legs are covered in tattoos already.
Yeah.
So like almost completely covered, but I've got some spaces, and we had the founder of the Philly Fest on the podcast a little while ago, and he was like, oh, there's going to be a tattoo artist there, and anyone who gets our logo tattooed get free tickets for life.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we're spending about £1 a year per ticket. And I'm like, that's going to save us loads.
Yeah.
So I'll probably get this logo, but it's like just a Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
But like, if you've already got loads of tattoos, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. True, yeah.
But if it's, imagine it was their first tattoo, and it's AU Vodka. I mean, that's pretty sick.
It did go pretty viral, and there was like one lad as well in the queue, like, was doing TikToks, remember, and he said he was going to get it on his forehead. He didn't in the end. It was like
great.
Well, that would have been like, that for you have been a bit of a head fuck. Like, would you feel bad?
Probably a little bit. It's just like a weird one, in it, but it's a hard one because you're trying to create as much noise as possible. But then I don't know, probably not something we would do again, I guess, to be fair. But it is something which, you know, I guess it's part of the brand. Like, it's about being out there and doing different stuff. Like, big brands wouldn't do this. I now know why they do this. But I feel like AU is about pushing the boat out and seeing how far we can push the marketing and do some crazy stuff. So yeah,
that's how you build the cult following and the culture that you've got, is by doing that shit, pushing the envelope. Just to close off on that then, so Jake Paul got the tattoo, or is like a temporary or a fake tattoo?
Yeah, so temporary tattoo, but obviously we got like proper tattoo artists. We got like sketched on different stuff. So like it looked super.
Well, I saw it getting done on the video, right? And so it's real ink going in the skin, but then it just fades quicker.
Yeah,
or whatever, right? Did you pay him 200 bags?
Don't know the exact amount, but it was a decent amount. But I don't know exactly how much it was, to be fair. But we were like sponsor for his fight and all that kind of stuff as well, to be fair. So it was a bit of a bigger thing. But yeah, it was loads of people talked about it. We are still talking about it now, so it's still paying back now, to be fair. So I guess that was kind of where I was at with that type of stuff.
Cool. Should we talk flavours?
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to know like how you come about getting the new flavours coming about, like what's the process like, who's in the tasting room, things like that. Like,
so me and Jackson probably the main 2 people, I guess, doing a lot of the stuff. So like if you go back to the first flavour, Black Grape, that was kind of just more probably the least obvious flavour you could probably do, one of the least obvious flavours you could do first. But it's just from like flavoured sweets and sodas and stuff and drinks that we kind of like and couldn't really get, and you could get them a lot in America, but couldn't really get here. So I was like picking flavours like that. Blue raspberries, like our best selling SKU, again, a flavour which not too many brands have done blue raspberry. Now a lot of brands have. I mean, there's a lot of blue raspberry kind of alcoholic products on the market. We were probably the first to do it. I think that was kind of a big part of like why everyone jumped on it and big success of it. So it was kind of like, we always try and do stuff that's first and a bit different. So, you know, even when we've done pineapple or some of our flavour other people have done, we've done like pineapple crush, and we've kind of like slightly done a thing in it. It's got like a bit more of like a coconutty pina colada. It feels just like a slightly different to like a normal one. So it's kind of, that's kind of always what we try and do, is slightly different to what everyone else is doing. So
what's the maddest flavour anyone's like suggested in the tasting room? Or
there's been the mad part is there's been a lot of flavours that people have laughed out the room, and then you come back 3 years later and then you're like you're pretty much doing them. So it's like where people have gone, that's a stupid idea, and then we end up doing them in the end. So like, I don't know, let me think of a good example. I think one of the guys was saying about, I think cocky dough was one that was like which one was checked out. Cookie dough, cola, one of the ones. There's quite a few different ones which kind of get laughed at the room, and then further down the road you're doing some samplings and tasting them. So
what's the craziest one that like has been suggested that you can think of, either by yourself or Jackson or whoever, and obviously never made it through because it was a ridiculous idea?
I don't know, not sure. There's been some mad shouts over the years. I think knowing the AU consumer, I feel like we know kind of what people kind of quite like, and I feel like what people don't quite like. Whereas if it's like, I think someone said like elderflower and mint, for example, which for a lot of brands would probably be a good flavour, but for AU it probably isn't the right.
Too poncy?
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
I saw a video of, again, from the Gym Skin Blitz. He's with Charlie Sloth.
Yeah.
And he's drinking something, but you don't know what it is. It's an AU product. He goes, oh, try that. And he goes, that is wrong. That's just wrong. And he's basically like ripping it. And then like Charlie Sloth's laughing his head off. Yeah. I assumed it was like an out there flavour, or I think it's chili or something.
Yeah, so that's like we did like a limited edition hot chop. It's like super spicy chili vodka. So
it's kind of like a joke product, right?
Yeah, it's not really meant to be like nice. It's meant to be a shock.
A quiet taste.
But he's clip from his live stream. And
it is also on the flip side quite nice if you put it with like a mango and have like a chili mango cocktail. Do you know what I mean? So like there is ways of making it nice.
I think Charlie Sloth gave it to him
neat. Yeah.
So you guys don't care, right? Because that's just authentic content. And like, it doesn't matter that he's trying to drink. No one knows that it's not a regular flavour. Yeah. And then he's like reacting badly because you don't try and control every bit of content.
Yeah, I think it was that type of stuff. I always think like, and if he tries 10 flavours and hates one and loves 9, that's still great for us, because what it does for me is it one goes, he's given a real reaction. If he just likes every single one, like, what does that mean? Is that actually real, or is he just doing a brand video? Whereas if it's just real, I didn't quite like that one, I prefer that one. But I also back the products at the end of the day that people will like them. Do you know what I mean? So, and if someone doesn't like that, they'll like something else. And I think AU is, we've got so many flavours and so many different products now. There is something that everyone will like. And I think if you've got a slightly sweeter palate, you'd maybe like these. If you like slightly less sweet, you like these. If you like ready to drink, so cans, you've got that. There's so many cocktails you can make. There is literally so many products that people would like, but different customers like it in a different way, which is good.
It's a really good point, actually, because that, again, it came up on my feed organically, and I remember thinking, like, I was more engaged with that one clip than probably, not saying the other stuff wasn't engaging, but that probably stayed in my mind as well the most.
Yeah.
Of all the clips that have come out from Gym Skin's trip here. Yeah. And what, to your point, is it just deepens the influence, because for his fan base, they're going, okay, there's one of him reacting, it's a funny video, but he's also been going crazy about all the other stuff that he loves, and now that has way much more meaning. Like, that's way more meaningful because you're seeing it's all real, it's all raw.
Yeah.
So I would totally agree with that.
Yeah. You want to play a game?
Okay.
Just coming off the back of the flavours discussion, and talking about like what customers like, what flavours they like. I'm gonna read out a bunch of like demographics or occasions. And I want you to name the most appropriate AU Vodka flavour for that. All right. Okay. First up, girls' trip to Mobs.
Yeah.
What flavour do you think would be most appropriate for those ladies?
So this is actually a bit of a random one. I'm going to answer in probably not the way you'd expect, but one product which I've been on to the guys on the ecom team for a long time, which I think we probably will do at some point, is I think it could be like really like a class idea for us is to do like girls' party or hen party kits and to have like, probably wouldn't go as far as doing like some of the bad hen party stuff that the things, but like if you had like a gold cup, a gold straw, like a mini bottle, maybe like a gold cowboy hat on the mini bottle, and then like a gold cowboy hat as well. I feel like some people won't like that, but some people will love that. And I think it's quite like funny, quite whatever. But actually what you then do is you have 15 girls who are going to that Marbella hen party trip, and then they're all wearing the AU stuff, and then that's in their archives forever. So actually you're now part of a massive occasion in someone's life, like birthdays, hen parties, like these are big things. And I think like if we did a birthday party kit or a hen party kit, stag party kit, like them type of things, we won't do hardly any sales of it. But if we sell 1,000, that's another 1,000 hen parties you're involved with, which then means that maybe they'll buy the product further down the line. So that's the way I see that type of answer, is like we should be doing stuff like that, because AU is such a fun special occasion brand that actually want to make things work for them type of occasions as well. Whereas, and people do buy AU every day for these occasions, but if we can do that, maybe it makes it a little bit extra and a little bit, people will buy that even more so.
Cool. That's a far more serious and interesting answer than I was expecting.
It's actually fucking genius.
Yeah. That's great. Okay. Love Island contestant post-Villa club appearance.
Love Island contestant post the club appearance. We're probably in a lot of these clubs, to be fair. Like the things like what drink would I do? To be fair, in those clubs, so there's one club which stands out in mind, which do a lot of these type of Love Island post club appearances. There's one called the Arch in Neath, and they literally, I think they sold like 40,000 cans in like a year in like one club, and they also have vending machines which are like sell AU from the vending machines. Obviously, you've got to be 18 to be over in there, but that's kind of what comes to mind, is a vending machine to get everyone to have a can of AU. So that's
another unique answer. I like it. Yeah. Cool. I'll make this the last one. So a bottle service on a lads' night out in Manchester. So maybe a similar story, like we're talking in a clubbing scene, but this time for the lads.
Yeah. Well, I think like if you go in extra on that, probably we do like the 3 litre bottle, but if you wanted to go thing, we have actually done it. I don't think it's for sale on the website, which maybe it should be, but we have got one bottle which is the world's largest bottle of vodka, which is 250 litre bottle, which we got a Guinness World Record for. So that probably be the most out there answer for that one.
So no one bought that?
No one's bought that yet.
How much is it?
So I think it cost us quite a lot, to be fair, but I think there was talk about putting in one of the super clubs or something at some point and seeing if someone buys it. So that was kind of
cool. Well, thanks for playing my game.
You guys have got an MO. I'm probably going to butcher this. Drinks on lips. It's not drinks on lips, is it? What is it?
Liquid on lips.
Liquid on lips, right? Yeah. So our team's told us about this. This is liquid on lips. So with that spirit, we basically, well, actually, can you explain that first? Like what you guys mean by that?
I guess it's just a confidence in the product, really. We every product we make from like 0% blue raspberry, like even though we've got a blue raspberry, we will still taste 50 different 0%s to try and make that product kind of work in that way. So like, even though that's not a big product for us and, not the main product, we still want to make it taste as good as we possibly can in every single product. And, sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't get it as right. But I think overall, the products people really like. So it's kind of, for us, the more people we can get to taste our product, the more people will come back. So that's all Liquid and Lips is. Can we get 10 million people to taste AU this year? Of which hopefully a lot will come back. Do you know what I mean? It's very simple, but it's actually, I do think it's quite a powerful way. Whereas if you just see a product and you haven't tried it, would you buy it? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's something which is probably true in a lot of industries, but especially in like food and drink. Once you might see a product and, I don't know, protein bar and go, don't really like that, like never think I'll just stick to this protein bar because I like that brand and I've had it before. Someone gives you a small sample and you prefer it, you're probably never going to buy the other one again. Do you know what I mean? You're probably going to go back to that every time. And I think that's probably true with most food and drink brands. So
yeah, confidence in the product makes a lot of sense, and obviously it's worked for you.
I think with AU as well, you kind of get, some people love the gold and it's out there, and then some people kind of are not sure about the gold. But I think that's where the Liquid and Lips is really important, because some people maybe wouldn't go, I'm not sure if it's for me, when they try it, they actually really like it as well. So I think that's kind of the thing which I think that's important is some people naturally come to you, some people are harder to get, but actually the liquid and lips makes a big difference in that, because if someone does like it, then they'll come back.
Yeah, and they get an experience. Like if they're having a great time, and talking about our publishers, having a great time, business conference, by the beach in Margate, drinking at AU for the first time, that's going to be remembered.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that just goes a long, long way. And so we're trying to keep that in the spirit of the brand. We've got a bit of a quick fire round for you.
Yeah.
Do you mind?
Yeah.
So a few random questions, and then we also have some questions that we ask every guest.
Yeah.
I'll put up on my phone. What's the most expensive mistake you guys have ever made?
We've made some big ones over the years. What's the most expensive mistake we've ever made? It's probably more boring stuff, to be fair, just like getting into contracts and different stuff, etc., with like different people, and like more like boring stuff, but actually like it ends up costing you more. And sometimes the things that you feel like don't cost you that much, cost you a lot in the end. Do you know what I mean? And it's like because if you mess up the customer experience, you've lost that customer for life. So if you do that kind of and get that wrong, all of a sudden you've lost so much more than just what you think you've lost. Do you know what I mean? Because you may see that one customer and you go, oh, we've lost £30 because we messed up that order. But actually you haven't. You've lost £300 because you've messed up the next 9 orders because they never ordered again. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's little things like that which probably make a big difference.
Opportunity cost.
So yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you're gonna want to answer this. Which brand would you most want to do the next collab with? You don't want to like blah.
I think the Tango stuff's obviously super exciting, and I think there's hardly a much better brand in the UK. We've never done orange, we've never done apple flavors as well, which is their best selling 2 SKUs as well. So that kind of really fits there. I think there's a lot of other brands in the Vic like portfolio as well, which are like could be super exciting. So I think there's probably a lot of brands within there. They've got the rights in the UK to like the J2O, Pepsi, 7-Up, like a lot of brands. There's quite a few there, which could be quite cool. Collab, yeah, I think they'd be interesting, to be fair.
J2O would be sick.
Yeah,
J2O, that's nostalgia for me.
Yeah.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 30 actually. Yeah.
30, right? So I'm 36. I remember when J2O was a new product.
Yeah.
Like, I must have been a kid, so I wasn't old enough to drink.
Yeah.
So having a bottle of J2O at a party was like a bit of a novelty.
Yeah.
It's a bit more tropical.
Yeah.
That would go off for me with AU Vodka. What would you think would kill the brand overnight if you stopped doing it?
Stop doing it?
Yeah.
So we did like in a kind of a different way, and we kind of brought it back a little bit as a limited edition, but we did stop doing cherry and for one point for the flavors when we were like, well, what we wanted to do another red flavor, and we were like, let's do strawberry, but then we were like, we got like darker red cherry, so we felt like we couldn't have 2 reds a little bit, but maybe that was the wrong thinking, but we were kind of like, oh, let's stop doing cherry. But I think that was something which a lot of people didn't like, but then what had happened then is everyone kind of bought it more because they knew they couldn't get it. So it kind of probably didn't play out in a bad way, but that was something which probably in hindsight, maybe we didn't need to discontinue and do that kind of stuff, to be fair.
You're saying if you stop doing cherry, it would kill the company?
No, I don't think so. Well, stop doing, I think if you stop doing the cans in total, I think that would be probably not a good idea, because I think that's where the market's probably going even more so, with the RTDs being so popular and different stuff. And I think that's also such a gateway into the bottle as well, where people can buy the can for £3-4 and then go, I really like that product, let's buy a bottle. So I feel like the cans have really helped us get into like the mainstream as well, to be fair, because the bottles, like, you know, was all bottles when we exploded, but I think the cans have taken us to another level again. So
when did you bring them in?
I think we brought them in 2022 somewhere,
okay.
I think. So it was a pretty crazy journey. Like we quite late really when you think about it, but now we've become the best selling RTD by volume in the UK. So outselling like Golden, Smirnoff, like a lot of old school brands with a lot of heritage, which
so that factory,
yeah. So we're the best selling, the AU cans are the best selling RTD.
What's RTD stand for?
Like ready to drink alcohol brand.
So let's get this straight. So I had heard this actually, and I've forgotten now. And I'm just remembering you saying it again. AU Vodka cans is the #1 ready to drink alcohol beverage in the UK.
Yeah.
That's fucking mad, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. It is pretty mad.
Yeah.
Like, no, it is pretty mad.
How long have these guys been at it? You know, Smirnoff and all the other brands that they've been around a long time, and they've got completely. You'd think they'd have the whole market completely owned and cornered.
Yeah.
I mean,
that is pretty crazy. And obviously, if the more we kind of do with Tango and different stuff, etc., the more it probably gets even bigger again. But there is like crazy like brands even in the top 10. You think that, like things have in the top 10, and you got like Smirnoff, you got Gordon's, you got Jack Daniels in there, and Captain Morgan's in there. Like these brands are like hundreds of years old. Some of them. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of, and RTD's maybe a little bit newer.
RTD's popped off. From my perspective, again, when I was like old enough to start going clubbing and drinking and stuff, I think that's when they started to become more popular.
Yeah,
around that time, if I'm right.
I think so. I think with RTDs, there's been like kind of like a two-phase thing. I think there's now RTD wave 2, I would almost call it, where you've got like AU, you've got Jack Daniels bringing out an RTD, you've got High Noon and White Claw in America and that kind of stuff. Whereas there was probably a RTD V1, I would say, which is kind of more like the Alco Pops, like the WKD,
that was
the VK, and that was probably like maybe even earlier. I think there was like in the 90s, it was like kind of really started growing. So you've kind of got like that, and I feel like what's happened now is kind of AU and a few new brands has happened, but there's a lot of things of why that's happened. I feel like COVID's happened. I feel like that's changed the marketplace. The other thing is the tax on alcohol bottles has gone up a lot, so it's made the bottles of spirits a lot more expensive, whereas the RTDs versus maybe say it was 5 years ago have actually gone down. So the RTD cans have effectively got cheaper by tax and the bottles more expensive, so then it's also changed that as well. And I think selection as well. I think like now you go into the Tesco's Express and looking at photo, we actually had 8 flavours on the shelf or whatever, which is a hell of a massive chunk of the shelf. But there was one of the, I think it was in Stratford in London or whatever, one of the Tesco Expresses, but there's 2 RTD fridges now. Do you know what I mean? Full of RTD cans. Whereas before, if you went there maybe 10 years ago, there might be like 10 cans on the top shelf. Do you know what I mean? Of like different stuff, and it would have been your Smirnoff, your Gordon's, and a couple of other options. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now there's a lot more selection and choice.
So you've been very like charitable and nice with your assessment there, and there's always different factors. But you don't think it's that these more legacy brands were kind of like a bit complacent and weren't innovating or doing anything exciting?
I think a little bit. I think AU kind of, we always come from a different point. Like a lot of people have kind of gone, oh, we'll do gin and tonic, we'll do vodka lemonade, we'll do like traditional drinks, whereas we just come at it in a different way and gone, oh, we're just going to do blue raspberry and we're going to do black grape and we're going to that's what we're going to do. And it's like, now you look back and it kind of feels obvious to do it similar to like what soda cans are like effectively. At the time, it wasn't obvious really. Like probably no one was doing it. Everyone was doing gin and tonic, vodka lemonade, whiskey, Coke, whatever. Like they were doing like normal alcoholic drinks, whereas we just kind of did it kind of the opposite way and just did flavors that were kind of popular in different soft drinks and different things. So we kind of done it a different way.
But going back to your point, you just did what you liked.
Yeah.
What you thought was cool.
Yeah.
And obviously it popped off. Cool. We've got the real quick fire round now.
Yeah, the harder ones. So what would your 12-year-old self say about who you've become today?
Probably be a bit gutted. It wasn't a professional football player, I'd say, to be fair. But other than that, I think I don't know. I don't really think of it like that in a way. It's quite hard to think, because I always still think that what I've done is good, but I actually still feel like there's so much more to go. Do you know what I mean? So like that's kind of the way I think about things. Just kind of, I don't know. I still feel like I could have done better maybe, or different bits. That's kind of the way I think about it, which maybe isn't about like a happy way of thinking about it, but I always think, could I do a bit better? Probably always.
Fair play. This isn't one of the questions, but just reminded me of something you said earlier on, which is, so how often do you reflect back on those early days, AU Vodka, when there's just a few of you in that first office, and the decisions you made then about the metallization of the bottles, like are so like being carried through the journey of the company, and one of the main reasons of why you're successful today and why you continue to be successful and attract everybody and customers and fans worldwide. How much do you reflect on that, or do you reflect on that at all, or do you just see it as just the organic process of, you know, a company's journey?
We've probably never thought about it really, because we've just, again, go back to the point, we've always done what we think is right. So at that time we were 19, 21, like a lot of our friends were getting bottles of vodka for like birthdays, like a thing, whatever. So we'd be Ciroc, Grey Goose, Crystal Head vodka, I think was at the time was kind of thing, Belvedere, probably the big brands that people would be gifted. So we thought, could we make a bottle that was more giftable, more different packaging and a bit of a story out there and do marketing in a different way to they're doing. So that was kind of always the thought process. But actually, if you look at like data and what we should have done, at that time, this was kind of like just the kind of start of the gin boom. This was also like, that was, we would have done better in the first 4 years if we'd have started a gin brand, in my opinion. But we probably wouldn't be sitting here today. Do you know what I mean? And maybe we would have done all right, but it wouldn't have been as the same level. And it's because we picked what we wanted to pick and what no one else was doing. And we kind of waited for, we were the category, we created our own category rather than waited for the category to grow us, if that makes sense. And I think that's kind of the way a lot of the biggest brands win. By the time the gin boom started, it's normally a bit too late because the brands that are already there are already winning. So it's actually quite hard to jump on a wave. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because the wave's already in motion. By the time you get up to speed, it's too late. And I think that's kind of happens with a lot of brands and spirits. They see something, they go, let's jump in that. But actually, it's going to be the main player already. Do you know what I mean? So
it happened with tequila as well. Do you think that's sort of had its day, or do you think that's still sort of?
I think there's always a market, but I do think there is, like, as you say, I think tequila is like, if you want to be tequila, you want to be in 2018 when it's just started and be a part of that journey, and a few brands really grow and be part of that wave, and a few brands don't. And I feel like but if you start one now, it's a lot harder than being the early part of that wave and different stuff. So that's kind of
playing catch up.
So, yeah.
Is that what blue ocean strategy means? I think it is. Just create your own. You heard of that?
I haven't heard of that.
Business, Is it like a business thing? It's like if you go into a red, you've heard this, right? Yeah, red ocean, loads of blood in the water.
Yeah,
people are mashing each other up. Yeah, it's competitive. Blue ocean, there's no competitors.
I think the thing what we always liked about kind of vodka and thing is hardly anyone was doing it, and the only people who were doing it were huge global brands or brands that kind of didn't work. So, and that was basically it. So like in America, it was a bit different. Probably a lot of people more have tried, but really in vodka, you've got massive brands and you've got brands that are almost doing nothing. Like that's basically what you've got. Whereas say you go to gin or a different category, you've got a lot of medium-sized, small-sized brands. Whereas in vodka, you're either a brand or you're not a brand. And I feel like that was kind of always something which we thought was exciting, because if you do make it, you're going to make it big. And I think like we always thought with the packaging and everything, let's make it as like a global brand, not like a Welsh brand as well. So like we were always proud of being from Wales and big thing, but we never really wanted to make it like put a Welsh dragon on the packaging and do all that kind of stuff, just because we felt that would make it not as much of a global brand. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like little things like that, which, we could have made it a lot more local, but then it wouldn't have maybe been what it's become today. But we probably would have done better in the first couple of years by making it more local in a way. Do you mean?
I'm not the alcohol expert, obviously, so tell me if this is wrong, but here's what I observed as well, watching you guys in the recent months and doing a bit of research for this as well, is like, it seems to me that a lot of the big vodka brands, or if a vodka brand tries to launch, maybe before you guys change the game, but like when a vodka brand tries to launch, they like to try and come up with fake heritage. Or lean on heritage massively. It doesn't have to be fake, right? But they sell off of heritage, the family, the hundreds or thousands, all these years of tradition of the grain and this and that. And I think that means quality, and they're trying to sell on that. And it's kind of old fashioned. And whereas you guys came in with like, it's not about the heritage, it's about the flavors. It's about the like the
I think
culture.
We always think that people will only really remember one or two stories about a brand, or like one or two things. So like if you name a brand, you can kind of name a few things about it, but really you can't name the whole story about any brand. You can kind of name one or two things. So we always thought like we could go down that route of, our product is probably made with, in terms of like one of the best liquids out there and like great grain and great, all that kind of stuff. But actually, do customers really A, care about that? And B, is that a different story to what everyone else has said? And I think the answer is probably people actually care about, does it taste good? Do you know what I mean? And obviously, do they care what's behind that a little bit? Yes, but I think they actually care. Our story is about AU being gold, the flavours, all that kind of stuff, not about the heritage and different stuff. And as you say, like a lot of the brands that are, a lot of the vodka brands are kind of quite new. They may be 20, 25 years old, but they'll have an older person who's been in the distillery for 100 years of generations and different stuff, etc. And they'll have that storyline of why it's the best. Whereas we could have done that, but we never did, because we just didn't think that was the story that people would resonate with, I guess.
Yeah, which was right. I think, black and white footage of them scooping grains from a barrel and stuff. And it's like, that was the way it was always done though. So if you were coming in, you could be forgiven for going, okay, that's how you market a vodka brand. But you guys obviously came in and turned it on its head, and that's why we're here today.
Yeah.
Cool. You got the next one.
Yeah, I'm going to try and make you cry. So what's your proudest moment of your career?
What's my proudest moment? I think always seeing your product in like different spots is always like super proud. I think like seeing it in America on the shelves, seeing it when you first listen to Tesco's, like getting those type of listings of like getting in the airport and all that kind of stuff. I think that's kind of things which are big for like a big moment. But I think always, getting on the minis on EasyJet and like on the planes and things like that, because the harder the place it is to get to, the more kind of proud you probably feel about it. Do you know what I mean? And I think like stuff at the airlines is like there's not many products on the airlines. So actually being one that like goes through the sky in a mini bottle, and being on EasyJet, Jet2, TUI, I think we're on now as well. So, and I think we're maybe on, British Airways and Virgin or whatever as well. So in
that's all of them basically.
Well, there's quite a few more to go to, but yeah, we're on quite a few different airlines. So it's pretty good. And then, going into like, I think we just launched into Sao Paulo airport. So like there's like crazy places like around the world where there's a big AU display, which is quite strange really, like from starting from Swansea, but it's also quite proud to be able to do that.
Yeah, and in like 10 years as well. It's crazy, like the amount of time it's taking you. If you can go back in time 5 years, what's the one thing that you'd do differently or sooner?
Probably could have launched the cans a year sooner maybe, because they worked really well. I think you probably could have released the flavours earlier, and we always talk about this, so we've done the flavour earlier because that kind of blew us up. But then I think if we launched it earlier, would we have learned the lessons we learned, and was it the right time, and was it that? So like you can never, I think sometimes it's hard to say we should have done something sooner, because the flavours we talked about, we need flavour, and we thought that was a good idea for years. We never did it because we were like, let's build the original first. But then we ended up doing the flavour, and it kind of popped off. So it's kind of, should we have done that sooner? But I think everything happens for a reason sometimes, and the time we did launch it, we knew what we needed to do a bit more than if we'd done it 2 years before. So yeah.
Cool. How many people are in the organisation now?
So I think we got about 95 globally at the moment.
95.
So we've got different people. We've got some guys working in America, some guys working in Europe, but majority in the UK, a lot from here. And then we got different people, reps and sales reps and different sales teams around the country. Some in Scotland, Newcastle, Birmingham, like all over the country as well, spread out. So
gotcha. So a lot of people. So finish this sentence.
Yeah.
Leadership is.
It's got a hard one to answer. I think it's just trying to show, like, I think always from my side, I don't feel like I'm kind of like a typical leadership person, like where things, I just do what I think is right and try and do that way. Really, it's not. I don't see it as kind of leading. I see it as more just doing what I can do to help build the company, and hopefully everyone feels around that the same around that. Not getting my words out pretty well now, but I don't know. I think it's one of those things where I just try and do what's right, and then hopefully everyone follows with that. So that's kind of the way, like, when we were packing boxes and stuff, we were just doing, get your hands dirty and do that. And I think if everyone else sees you do that, I think they follow and join that journey, really. So I think that's kind of the most important part of it.
Yeah, respect that.
Cool.
Final question. What's the single biggest opportunity that most brands are missing out on today?
Single biggest opportunity. Brands is a wide topic. That is.
Yeah, anyone selling something.
I think to be honest, I still think, like, especially within like food and drink in particular, which is our industry, like I feel like the e-commerce stuff, like the online stuff, is something which is quite new. And I feel like people don't push on that as much. There's definitely some industries that within food and drink that do more, and some that do less. But I do feel like that's something which, if you can build that the right way, can be super powerful, and you then have direct contact with the customer. And it's probably not a big part of your business in food and drink, because there's so many stores and Tesco's and so many big retailers out there, which is probably may not be your biggest percentage. But I think it's such an important, powerful tool to like harness your brand, speak to your customer directly, and kind of have that direct messaging. So I think that's something which I think is more powerful than maybe the revenue it brings.
Nice. Thanks. On that note, if anyone wants to find you, are you like active online, social? They can follow you on Instagram. They can go.
Yeah. I've got like pretty on social. To be fair, I'm not super active, but I'll do 1 story a week or something like that. To be fair, on average, so just little taste makes.
What's your main platform? Like Instagram.
Instagram probably, to be fair, but I do quite a few. I do probably do a little bit more on LinkedIn and stuff, to be fair, but slightly different content. So yeah.
And where can people on Instagram? What's your like handle?
My handle is Charlie Morgan, but it's like a 0 on the O of Morgan, so it's not the easiest one to. It's probably when I was 11 years old, setting it up, probably didn't think I'd have to add the 0 in a sentence on a podcast, so I didn't.
That's all good. We got it done now. Thank you so much.
You've been amazing, man.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
It's been great.
No, I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Cheers.